Hey guys, DesolatorMagic here, and it's time for a very interesting video that I've wanted to make for quite a while. You may or may not have heard the term power creep, and I've talked about it in a couple recent videos. Power creep is a problem in video games, trading card games, pretty much anything, any kind of system that's competitive, I guess you could say. Let's say I invent my own trading card game called, oh boy, let's see. Hell, let's just call it Desolator, why not? That sounds awesome. So in this absurd scenario, let's say it's a complete and utter ripoff of Magic. Lawsuit pending, I'm sure. So in the first one, I print, 1/1 creatures, some 2/2s for 2, 3/3s for 3, the typical balance stuff. Well, how do I sell the next set? I mean, do I think of a creative, awesome new mechanic, that people want to try? Like, some of the stuff they've tried, double strike, lifelink, banding, just basically, cool stuff that people are like, oh, now I invent flying. Maybe flying wasn't a thing. Oh, now you can fly over the top. That's cool. Now, I just said I'm creating fun, amazing new mechanics, but what I'm really doing is just making the new cards in the next set way more powerful. If the first creatures are just plain old vanilla creatures, there's some boost ambush and that's it, nothing special, and then all of a sudden I compare a 2/2 for 2 mana to like a 2/1 for 3 with lifelink. It seems balanced, but it's really not. Lifelink is really, really, really powerful. If I add in the next set, unblockable, flying, first strike, double strike, okay, now nothing that came before it can stand a chance. Now, a little bit in the future, we're rolling out set number 10, and you're summoning an 8/8 creature for 4. I mean, just outright, plain old, more powerful. So the old cards just cannot compete. I mean, we're talking not a chance in hell. That would effectively and mathematically force people to buy the new sets and abandon the old sets. Now, with almost every game, I mean, I'm pretty sure Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, Magic, and pretty much every other trading card game I've ever heard of, except for one, actually, they cycle out the cards. So they say if it's older than, a year and a half, 2 years, whatever, then you can no longer use it. So that's one way to force people to buy a new set, but you release multiple sets in that time, and you don't want even one of them failing miserably. So you're always tempted, if you make one of these kinds of products, to just make the cards more powerful, make them better at combat and more likely to win. That is power creep. So let's look at Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, first edition, you got like a 1200 attack power, 800 defense creature, and that would probably be considered pretty good. These days, oh hell no. It's not like I looked into Yu-Gi-Oh! Too much, but I had my friend tell me a little bit about it, and yeah, they've got, cards the size of a Blue Eyes White Dragon that nobody even blinks at. They're not even considered good. They have new summoning methods. It's just utterly ridiculous. I mean, if you were to take the latest couple sets and verse them against the first couple sets, I'm pretty sure you would win. Now let's look at Pokemon, okay? I actually bought the first edition when it came out when I was 10? I honestly don't remember. It was a long frickin' time ago. By the way, Wizards of the Coast used to own and operate the Pokemon trading card game from what I heard. That's pretty funny. Maybe they shouldn't have sold it. Anyway, the biggest creature had 120 hit points. I think it was Charizard tied with Chansey. I don't quite remember. Maybe Kangaskhan in there as well, but that was it. Yeah, that was the limit. I think Charizard did 100 or 120 damage himself, so that was the premier damage amount, and I think he had to ditch a whole bunch of energy just to do it, so anything that attacked for 40 was considered really, really good. These days, you have 100 hit points and a 60 attack power and a special ability, you're garbage. You might as well not even go on a deck. Holy crap. So, over time, and we're talking decades, which, okay, power creep is acceptable over decades, that just keeps the game from getting boring, but those two games have power crept like crazy. Well, now look at the first, 8 to 10 sets of Magic. A bunch of broken OP as balls cards. If you compare it to, Kaladesh, I mean, the older cards would probably win. They were really unfair and really broken, so they've actually managed to power down the game. Although they have made it more complex, I'm not sure when certain things like Double Strike, Unblockable came out. I know just having a Planeswalker at all, that came out pretty recently. So to an extent, I mean, the game got more complicated, it gave you more flexible options for what to do, and you could consider that power. But honestly, the power of each individual cards themselves and as a whole, I think it was more powerful at the beginning. I would say on the whole, even in just the 4 or so years that I've been playing, how has Wizards completely avoided the whole power creep thing? Now, occasionally it happens. I mean, the Tarkir block stomped everything before it. It wasn't even close. So that was power creep in half, but that's just because adding 3 colors to the game and making it actually doable 100% of the time with land fixing, that breaks the game. Also, the spells were OP as balls and Ugin was OP. I mean, it was a terrible set. But it was hyper powerful and it was power creep, but then it didn't stay that way. Origins was, interesting and I liked it and it sold pretty well and it was popular, but it couldn't really compete with Tarkir. Shadows and Eldritch Moon were good, but they also couldn't compete with Tarkir, so if they go up, they come back down. So when you ask yourself the question, how has Wizards avoided just consistent power creep over the years? It's definitely a twofold answer, and the first part is they haven't. Some sets have sold like crap. Born of the Gods was a joke. Even Journey to Nyx wasn't like amazing. Like, it was pretty good, but Born of the Gods was like the real bomb set. I mean, that thing was just useless. Honestly, the third set in pretty much every block was pretty poor. The decks were established, the mechanics were established, all they would do is add a couple cards. They never sold well, they're always smaller, people just open too many. There's a whole bunch of reasons they didn't sell well, but definitely not seeing the whole power creep thing. You certainly did not have to sell all of your Theros cards to quickly switch over to the more powerful Born of the Gods version. So yeah, once in a while, they just print a low-powered set that's interesting but not good enough to be competitive, and, okay, people don't like it, I don't like it. I don't like a whole new set coming out that I waited 3 months for and then having the vast majority of the cards be useless. But hey, sealed and draft. I mean, who doesn't love sealed and draft? I've never seen a set that's terrible to seal and draft. I've heard Kamigawa was it. But other than that, okay, they got a little saving grace there. Now, besides just printing weak sets to kind of reset it, which I don't think is their intention, I've noticed a very clever pattern. Certain cards in certain deck archetypes rely on cards from the set before them, and they know that they're going to cycle out. It's more like the block before them, not the set before them. I could give a ton of examples, but I guess you could say when Dragons was still legal, but Tarkir and Fate Reforged fell off, that kind of died because of the mechanic. That it was part of their actual block, so without the rest of the block, especially the first set, it just didn't do that well. So that's not the best example, but that was kind of an accident. The whole switch to 2 sets thing, it wasn't really like a thing back then. It was all mixed up. Dragons and Origins were in a block. So the best example I can give right now presently is Landfall. If you're playing Landfall, you need 2 cards, Explosive Vegetation and Nissa's Pilgrimage. Without those 2 cards, you are not going to get enough land. Even with Evolving Wilds, Blighted, I mean, just everything added together, it doesn't work. It's not good enough. Attune with the Aether doesn't put a card in hand. I mean, it's not good enough. The replacements are not good enough. Even Sylvan Scrying isn't good enough. That only fetches 1 into your hand. Oh, it's non-basic. Whoop-de-doo. I mean, Landfall, you need to just pound out lands. And Nissa's Pilgrimage would go get up to 3, usually 3, and put 1 on the battlefield bypassing the land drop limit. And then Explosive Veg would just drop 2 straight onto the battlefield bypassing the limit. There were actually a couple more cards that supported Landfall where they basically had Landfall. I mean, this is so transparent what they were doing. Look at this card, Zendikar's Royal. When a land enters the battlefield under your control, or as I like to call it, Landfall, create a 2/2 green elemental creature token. If you get this out, you can win the game by just dumping a couple more lands out and just flooding them. So they basically put one of the absolute strongest Landfall cards in the game and put it in a set 1 before it should have been. If you lose this card, it's recoverable, but like I said, there's a couple more, and once you lose too many, the deck just isn't good enough. So look at my current deck called The Fat Pack, and compare it to my older deck, which is, 60-50% similar. That's what it was built off of. It was called either Superland Junior or Superland or Crypto Bomb for a little bit newer version that was a little bit different. Superland Junior was insane, though. That deck was, oh my god, I won so many matches with it. My current version of it, called the Fat Pack, it is much, much, much weaker. It does occasionally win games. It's more of a fun deck, but yeah, it is way, way slower, less reliable, and weaker. Well, I didn't see a whole lot of Landfall going on at the tournaments, so I think it's safe to say, yes, they will purposely cripple a mechanic and cripple a deck type by, kind of printing a really, really necessary card, a really powerful support card, really powerful spell, really powerful cloned version of a mechanic, something like that. And they'll just pick a couple really powerful cards and make sure that they're in the set before. You can always pick them out really, really easily because they'll just stand out. I mean, Zendikar's Royal. When a land enters the battlefield, what is that? Nobody had heard of Landfall. I mean, except for obviously the first time it was printed, but more recent players, they're like, what is this? This is a neat mechanic, cool. And then all of a sudden the next set comes out and full-blown Landfall on everything. So, in hindsight, it's like, yeah, Zendikar's Royal. There you go. That's the card. And like I said before, you could live without the card, but you probably couldn't live without Zendikar Incarnate and Nissa's Pilgrimage and, all the others that are missing. Oh gee, he has 4 toughness for 4? Hello. And his power is equal to the number of lands you control? Plus all the best X spells I think were in a past set. I remember losing a couple of those. Actually, Crater's Claws kind of went out a while ago. But you get what I mean. I mean, some really, really crucial critical cards went out and then the deck just failed. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, what about allies? Honestly, if you look at the old Allies decks, they did require a couple cards from Dragons. All the good Cryptolith Right decks would require Secure the Wastes, which is no longer legal. Now, things like that could have easily been an accident, but I think a lot of this was very purposeful. A lot of people just say that, Werewolves, Vampires, Madness, all the major decks from Shadows were just more powerful than Allies, and I think that's true. They did let it power creep a little bit, but Allies just weren't amazingly strong by themselves. They kind of started really low after Tarkir, and then people played it for a bit, and then, oh look, something better. So they do kind of go in cycles, where they go up, then they go down, but they do try to kill off, entire mechanics and deck types as far as they can tell just by designing cards in the blocks that they design them. So overall, I mean, if this sounds like a bad thing, no, it's absolutely brilliant from a design standpoint because it's probably the fairest way to do it. It's kind of fun to have kind of powerful magic and then kind of weak magic because, it changes the pace of the game. It opens up to more deck options and it's just different. It just mixes it up a little bit. So the cycle of going up and down, no problem. And then the whole killing off old decks when stuff cycles out. I mean, it seems annoying, but you're not going to get to play your deck forever, okay? Eventually something's going to cycle out. Unless you build a 100% block constructed deck. If you're doing vehicles and pilots, okay, that is going to stay together until all of Kaladesh goes out all at the same time. So if you do want a durable deck, build a self-contained mechanic from one set, just stick to cards from just that set. If you need a slightly better kill spell, okay, reach outside for a different black spell, no problem. You could always replace that. Black is always going to have kill spells. But other than that, keep the core of the deck and the most important cards to just one set or one block. And then you'll be good to go. You'll have the most durable deck. But as for me, I'll just, mix the wackiest stuff together. If you want a really broken, overpowered deck, the most likely way you're going to come up with it is take the newest set and mix it with the oldest set. That has almost always been true. That is the least likely card interactions to be tested by research and development, so they might have let something overpowered slip through. First, they start with the block itself, the sets in the block, and make sure that nothing goes together that's just OP as balls. And then they test the closest blocks, and then they test the most distant blocks, and at that time, they're probably out of time and sick of looking at the stupid cards. But yeah, it makes sense. Test heavier the ones that are closer to each other and will be legal together for a longer amount of time. So if you want a really, really powerful deck, pull cards from everywhere. Just look at all of standard legal, sort by mana cost, find the best of the best, who cares what set it's from, and just use anything, which is the way I do it. So hopefully that gives you some insights into why Magic is designed pretty well lately and why it isn't just, oh, all of a sudden I'm summoning a 10/10 Trampler with Death Touch for 2 mana. Okay, does that seem a little much to somebody? And 10 years from now, you won't see, oh, I got a 15/15 Flying Dragon and all I had to do was sack a creature and pay 1 mana to bring it out. Woo. Nope, leave that for Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon. No offense to those players. I mean, if you can tolerate the power creep, whatever. I'll see you guys next video.